Peace, everyone. It's Black High Priestess. How's everyone doing? It is Friday, February 2nd. So today is Oyañsan Feast Day. So Oyañsan is Oya or Yansan, more so in the Portuguese Brazilian language, or, short for Oya. And that in Yoruba, Oya is a word that means to tear, to rip. And Oya incarnate is a tornado. She is the storm, she's the tempest, which includes hurricanes and thunder and lightning, tornadoes, cyclones, a lot of different there's a lot of elements to a storm. Oya, meaning to tear or to cut, to rip, that deals with the tattered cloth that is multicolored that she wears, and that kind of represents her multicolored energy. On that note, shout out to Aida Wado, because in a few days we're going to be entering the Chinese New Year, and this is going to be the year of the dragon. Aida Wado represents the feathered serpent, or also the rainbow. So she is another African ancestor under the Rada and more Congo spirits, air and water, Congo being water, air being Rada, air and water actually being the same element except in masculine and feminine principles. That's a bit of another topic. But in terms of the multicolored or being multifaceted, Oya has that. So she has the different elements, and through her abilities, she also has the powers of sacred femininity that can compete and defeat masculinity. So Oya, she, unlike Yemaya and Oshun, in a lot of ways represents androgynous femininity that earned authority over manhood, whereas Yemaya and Oshun kind of represent, so to speak, domestic aspects of femininity, or submissive or uber feminine qualities of femininity. Oya, we get that balance. All this ties into her name meaning to rip or tear through one world to the next. So Oya's balance of masculine and feminine principles embodied in femininity speaks to the fact that she embodies the mysteries of life and the mysteries of death, because she is a messenger of Olofi, and she delivers messages to and from the cemetery. She escorts the recently dead to the afterlife, or the graveyard, the cemetery. She rules over the graveyard, or places where death is revered. Cemeteries, graves, humans, we have our rituals to revere death, or to honor the death and the passing of loved ones through funeral rituals. Oya rules keeping the dead. And that also dates back to the mysteries of preserving spirit after death, preventing decomposition. These are mysteries of ancient Kemet, before Hyksos conquering, or before the whitewashing that begot Egypt. So Oya, she has the same colors of Orisha as Shui Legbara, being, red. Red is a color that we commonly know Oya for, even though she is multicolored and embodies, in a lot of ways, all of the elements, that each Orisha may embody. And through that, we are introduced to her witchcraft, which, in this aspect, meaning a woman who is good at everything that she does. We deal with Oshun with that in some ways, and then we deal with Yemaya, whose sacred femininity is not so much known as witchcraft because it's so associated with motherhood, but Yemaya rules the mirror, which is the beginning of African witchcraft reflection. So again, getting off on a bit of a tangent, but today is Oya's feast day, and Oya, she also has those Erzuli Danto qualities. She's the origin of the mysteries of Erzuli Danto. The bullshit detector, the tomboy, the protector of women and children, particularly ones who have been abused. So we get this aspect of Oya that's the truth teller. And that's what the cemetery and the dead ancestors, Les Barons, the Gades, the Barons, the first humans that died and became Loa, ancestors through the fact that they had the experience of life and death. So Oya represents justice and truth. So today I want to just kind of recap, some of the things that I've learned, some lessons I've learned, but just, kind of reintroducing my brand, reminding people Black High Priestess is my brand. It's who I am. It's what I do, but it's also my brand. And the foundation of it is to elevate Black women. And some of the tools that I use to elevate Black women is music. I do have a song out. 2022, I was very successful in performing and vending at a lot of different events that were hosted by Indigenous, the Aztec community, different events around the city as well, West Side, South Side, North Side. It was a great time. 2023, as a lot of us did, I had to get back to work, the whole COVID, compensation had kind of dried up. And so, I had to, find that balance, that work-life balance, so to speak. And I also realized that to get my life the way I want it to really be, and to create the future that I want for myself, I had to make some changes. And it's a wonderful thing when even as a witch, when we do have the gifts to manipulate realities, to alter things in our favor, taking the responsibility and saying, I can better utilize that gift for healing. Because altering reality through witchcraft is still a form of destruction. Whereas using witchcraft, so to speak, the art of cooking or the art of crafts, which is why craft is at the end of the word witchcraft, because originally, when you take out the element of literal satanic worship and dealing with demons for power, you're dealing with people, women in particular, who had gifts, who had sacred femininity, who had the empathy and the supernatural knowledge and wisdom of how to cure, how to use herbs, how to use spices, how to use natural elements of earth to create things that would literally heal. And through that, you can also deal with poisons and different things like that that would be used for originally what we would call protection. But now, when you get into Satanism, you're getting into destruction or taking away other people's free will, which is very different than the things that witches do to protect ourselves and to protect the mysteries that we were blessed with, that other women, other people, and that humans, quite frankly, were, that the average human is not necessarily informed or gifted with. In African society, you have different people with different gifts that come together in a society. So being a healer, being a spiritual worker, a priestess of sorts, was not so ostracized. It was an important part of the community. Witches were kind of like the doctors, the healers at one point, and then through European folklore became very demonized and feared, which speaks to the European culture's fear of femininity, or empowered femininity. So, that's all and well, but like I was saying, I just wanted to kind of get back into that, mode of elevating Black women. It's also the beginning of Black History Month. So Oya, ushers in in America, Black History Month. So I want to give just a few quick tips for Black women starting in the year of how to elevate your energy, how to maintain goddess energy, and if you are a follower of me who is also a blood-born witch who also has these sacred traits, how to protect your power as we move into the new age. So the first and foremost is what I want to see Black women doing, and I will definitely speak for myself. Stop stealing from each other. Stop stealing from me. Learn to promote a Black woman who is doing something that you admire instead of turning around and trying to figure out how to do it, wear it, sing it, write it, whatever that sister is doing that inspired you. Learn how to promote and give homage to that Black woman. Black women get such in the mode of feeling that we owe each other, feeling that it's okay to steal from each other, when you wouldn't dare disrespect a lot of white people and try to plagiarize them, because a lot of a lot of Black people don't know how to reach the standards that white privilege has. So when you see a Black person who inspires you to do something different, or to be bold or something, stop stealing it. Promote that sister. That's how you make the Black dollar bounce. Stop trying to steal from other Black women who you admire, who have inspired you, who are doing things that you're not doing, and that you think you can turn around and do it because you see another Black person doing it. You don't do that with white people. You don't think it's so easy to do whatever white people do. You think that's hard. You think it takes time. You think it takes education. But the moment you see a Black person doing it, oh, well, then I can do it, and it's easy, and it's not. And a lot of the things you Black women, even if it's down to how you put your clothes together and wardrobe, it's okay to compliment a sister, but all this, where'd you shop and this and that, stop trying to steal from sisters. Get the inspiration to find who you are. It is not your permission to mimic and copycat. That is the inspiration. When you see someone who inspires you, another sister, learn to ask the questions that can help you figure out how to figure out who you are and be inspirational to others without copycatting another sister and stealing the original energy or product that she is putting forth. Stop stealing from each other, sisters. It's getting despicable. What else I want? I want Black women to avoid other sisters in particular, but other, people, Black people, sisters in particular, who are unwilling to work with you. Now, this is something I'm speaking more to gifted sisters who have the gifts of witchcraft, sisters who have that Oshun energy where your sexiness and attractiveness or your supernatural gifts kind of radiate, and you're setting a whole nother standard. It is because you're setting a new standard and a new platform of femininity, of beauty, of what Black womanhood is. A lot of sisters are not ready to work with you. And instead of, sisters, when you have a lot to offer to a Black community or a Black event or something, one thing I want you to do is don't become the mascot, something that I've fallen victim to. When you are outshining everybody at an event, that is probably your cue to leave and go find people who are matching your energy. That's not your cue to become the mascot if you're not being paid. That's not your cue to keep your spiritual energy really at an event that is void of it, because you're gonna be attracting people to someone else's vending stand. You're going to be attracting people to a festival that didn't give you free entry, didn't pay for you. You're going to be attracting people with your goddess energy, with your priestesshood energy, with your power. And but these people don't work with you. They don't promote you. They aren't collaborators. A lot of times you're at this event, making this event and making the people who throw this event look good, and you're not getting anything from it except becoming some type of mascot when you're not being paid or promoted. And as a brand, I have to say, sisters, Don't work with sisters who don't want to work with you. Some of the excuses that I've had black women use is, oh, it's, I'm only hiring teenagers, or some events they only want to work with people who are older, or a lot of these events, oh, it's only focused on men, it's men own, there's a lot of funny excuses that a lot of black people and sisters will come up with to avoid working with you. I've been at, black venues that were hiring and that other people have told me to come to apply to. And then, and sometimes you may even know, people, who are, in black commerce and in these spaces, but they don't want to work with you. You speak Spanish, you have all these credentials, you have these certifications, you are a model, so you naturally, as a model, when you make things look good and people don't like to hear it, you are higher value, because in America things are about looks. As models, we attract things that if you go into a place and you're old, you're fat, you're unhealthy looking, you're unattractive, you're not sexy, you're actually deterring customers in a lot of ways. But a person like me, who's a model, who my modeling focuses on actual sex appeal, you know, I'm a lot more valuable because my ability to sell is much higher than any other worker who's not, does not have that element of sex appeal, and more so doesn't have that element of 20 years of experience that I have on a lot of people. So if you're that sister, who people don't want to work with you because you're setting a completely higher standard, even though you know your value, go to where people can afford you. A lot of times it's going to be white people who can afford to work with someone who is of high value, meaning you have a lot of elements that can profit them. And a lot of times black people, they don't know how to make money because they don't see what money making is. They still have these fears, still have these slave-minded fears of something elevated, something supernatural, something powerful, but also just a higher standard, achieving that higher standard. And a lot of black businesses will fail because of their business tactics are not conducive to making the most money. A lot of black people think promoting to white people, getting white people in the door, or jacking up the prices for the black people who will support you, that's a lot of black people's business tactics. And it's because they don't really know business. They haven't been doing business like white people have been doing business. And they are not allowing people who have the qualities to make their business successful. They don't want to work with us. They want to work with their family members. They want to work with kids that they can manipulate. They want to work with somebody who is not going to outshine them and show the community that, hey, you can get better. Black people don't want to do better. They don't want their community that they're milking for resources to know that there is something better out there that is also black, that's more affordable, with a much, much better product, and that is spiritually enhanced. Avoid sisters who don't want to work with you. They know that you have potential to take money out of their mouth because you will get the profit. So remember that there is a huge competition, and black people are not supporting each other. They're milking each other for every dime that you have, and they don't give a fuck about you or other black people. So avoid sisters who don't want to work with you. Avoid black businesses who don't want to raise their standards to be able to work with you, who is raising the standard for what black product, what black, production is. And don't be a mascot. Don't be a mascot for these rundown rink-a-dink events that have no energy. Go somewhere else or learn to go out on your own. And that's the other thing I want sisters to embrace, is going out on your own. Now this upload is going to cut off in a minute, so I'm going to do a part 2 where I just kind of go down the list. So stay tuned for that. But at this time, I want to talk about the importance of going out on your own, being independent as a black woman. It's kind of noisy. This being independent as a black woman, it's not about doing everything yourself. It's about understanding that this is more so for sexy single sisters who understand the dating aspect of my brand, or the aspect of uniting black men and black women, and some of the struggles that black women have with finding eligible husbands. My brand is heavily focused on the reality that black women like me are, there's not a lot of men available for high class black women. And the higher class you are as a black woman, you are, one thing I saw that a lot of sisters were not able to see because you weren't the token black or the only black within miles, is that high class black men are programmed and brainwashed to stay as far away from black women as possible. Doesn't matter how good you look, doesn't matter if you're a model. I'm the most beautiful woman in the world. And I knew at a very young age that the higher class I was, and being groomed in with higher class, let me know immediately that white supremacy means that black men are going to be kept from you, and that white women get the first pick of eligible black husbands. White women in America get first pick of eligible black husbands. And that is another primary foundation of why my brand is about elevating black women, because we deserve our own men, and America won't allow us to have them. So, going out alone, again, the upload is going to cut off in a minute, but it's important that you don't have all these other competitors clogging up your energy when you are trying to attract a mate. And a lot of you sisters, yeah, you know, you do have a duty to yourself to learn how to attract a mate. But a lot of you are, you don't know how to go out alone and let yourself stand out. You got all your white female friend, your white feminist female friends who are using you to attract black men. You got your gay male friends who are using you to attract black men. And then you have other black women who, you know, if they're not as attractive as you, they're using you to attract black men. So that's what I'm going to go into in the next upload is, you know, some other, you know, tips for sisters, especially single sexy witches in 2024. So I'll see you in the next upload. Check it out.